Good morning. Welcome to our Toss. Anthony's here. We're going to have a insightful conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations and content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to well-being. However, in today's conversation, we'll be talking about vulnerability as a strength. I want us to take in consideration because vulnerability is often looked upon as a weakness. It's looked upon as something we got to keep to ourselves. You know what I mean? We can't trust the world. There's a lot of things going on, right? But at the same time, too, it's like when you keep your guard up for so long, all these mental health disparities and things interfere with your life, in addition to how you're able to connect with other people. So stick with me, right? So I want to be able to normalize off rip and reduce the shame, because most people, like I said, are learning to suppress their emotions to feel safe or accepted. Being open can, be uncomfortable, but we have to also to being comfortable to then become comfortable, right? So we got to be able to change our ways into a way that is able to influence us in a positive way, right? So especially if you've been hurt before, right? We got to take in consideration that avoiding, vulnerability is protective. We understand that, but it's also too isolating, right? So having a compassionate and then, validating yourself with that acceptance, like this happened to me, right? But you're also able to, with that compassion, reduce that judgment by being kind to yourself, right? So I want us to be able to take in consideration, because regardless of what happens to us, different things happen to us, pain, different interactions with people, right? It's different circumstances of life, but we got to be able to normalize this and be vulnerable so we're able to move on in a productive way. Next, I want to be able to talk about some psychoeducation, right? So simple ways to be grounded, right? So vulnerability is an emotional exposure with uncertainty. That's life, all right? It activates the nervous system because there's perceived social risk. Our red flags is up, right? But connection requires emotional, visibility, right? There has to be some type of foresight. So in a sense where strength is often, isn't the absence of fear, it's a willingness to stay open despite of it, right? So it's just, just being able to be optimistic, being willing to be open to new interactions with people. One research that was done by Brene Brown highlights that vulnerability is a foundation of connection, creativity, and courage, right? So, we all people, we all going through the same, damn near not the same thing, but similar experiences in other ways, right? But it's really big for us to take in consideration that we got to be able to socialize, we got to be able to connect, we got to be able to, interact. And by doing this is being vulnerable, right? We're able to talk about whatever the situation is when we're around people that we feel safe with. So I really want us to take that in consideration. But when it comes to psychoeducation, vulnerability, once again, is emotional exposure with uncertainty. So we got to take in consideration that try to get ourselves outside that comfort zone, the sense, right? So practical reframings, what can we do to be able to safely engage in vulnerability, right? So vulnerability doesn't mean you're oversharing. It means sharing honestly with safe people that you trust, right? So if you're able to interact with people that are making you feel like you're in a conducive environment, right? Let's talk about some things, open up perhaps, right? So get some things light off your chest, right? So start small, express based off with your preference, whatever you want to open up, and name the feeling, really claim whatever's going on, but really just try your best to be open in that sense, right? So vulnerability isn't telling everyone everything what you got going on. It's just telling the right people something that is real, right? And when you're able to speak on what's real, you're able to what? Be able to heal. So I really want us to be able to be in environments and safe spaces where you're able to express, get whatever you got on your chest out into the world and into a safe space, so you're able to get that kind feedback, right? Next, let's talk about some micro actions. What can we do to be able to, make small steps? Because as we know, small steps can make the big ripple effects, right? So let's start somewhere, right? So I want us to be able to have a critical thinking mindset. This is really big because we got brains, right? Let's use it, right? So ask yourself, right? Where and why, why am I pretending to be unaffected? We are people. We feel these emotions. We have pain. We have different experiences, right? But why are we bottling these things up? Why are we acting like everything's regular? You know what I mean? So really ask yourself these questions. Next, choose one low risk moment, right, that you're able to simply apply in an honest way today, for instance, right? Who can you talk to? What can you do? Can you journal, right? Can you reach out to a therapist? Like, what can we do that's small that's going to really make a big effect for tomorrow or the future? All right, so I also want to take in consideration to notice that, discomfort doesn't mean, it's danger, right? Discomfort is just something that we're going to feel right now, but we also can too navigate it with, self-care and different modalities such as, therapeutic support, right? That's going to help us get to where we need to be. But at the same time too, let's think about what can we do today that's going to make a benefit for tomorrow. So, I really want us just to, pull this video together, right? Avoidance is something that we do in regards to trying to avoid, and protect ourselves away from that rejection. But we also need, and like I said, we need that connection. So by any means necessary, try your best, like I said, get around safe people. Try your best to be vulnerable. Try your best to be open. Try your best to be understand that life is optimistic. Uncertainty, things happen, life happens. Trust, but we can't always be predictable or know what other people are going to do and how they're going to respond. But we only can control ourselves. So let's try our best to be vulnerable, right? If you found this video beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share if possible, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.